Hello, everyone. Uh, Again, today, filming probably at least two reviews on the same day, maybe even three. It is 2 o'clock in the morning right now, but my movie Sonic was a little long, but I wanted to get this review in first because this was one of the movies that I went to see last night as well, which was Morbius, which got a horrible review, and they tried to compare it to the remake of the Fantastic Four, which I do know that they are remaking again because now everything's going over to into the MCU, and I'm really hoping that they actually bring back the cast from the original Fantastic Four movies from when I was a kid, and yeah, just we'll pretend the other one didn't happen. Now I'm gonna have to go actually back and watch the remake because I don't really know if it was as bad. See, sometimes you just get in your head that a movie's so bad because so many people have said it's bad, and then you watch it yourself again after a while, and you're like, was it really that bad though? Like I've even done that with Green Lantern. Like I think it's just because when you're watching it after so many people have said it's bad, you're just expecting it to be bad, so that's your mindset going into the movie. Now I try to switch that, and when people say it's bad, I try to go in with low expectations, and then the movie ends up actually being good anyway. So I should have just went in with normal expectations, or yeah, I never really like to go into anything with high expectations unless it's like, been kind of like amped up for like a few years or whatever, kind of like Dune was. Like that movie I was just expecting to be good from the beginning, and it was anyway. So yeah, and I am gonna actually have to do a full review of that now that it's on Crave again. So, or now that it is on Crave, I'm gonna have to actually properly review the movie because when I was watching it the first time, I was just kind of sitting there enjoying the film in the theaters when it came out. So I never really actually got around, and I was just busy during the holidays when it came out and a whole bunch of other stuff. So there are a couple movies I'm gonna have to go back and review again so that I can actually get a review of them out. But anyhow, that's not what we're talking about today. We are talking about the film Morbius, which I thought was actually fairly well done and was a fresh movie as far as the Marvel Universe goes, which was kind of nice because it wasn't so, I don't want to say, there was lots of action in it, that's for sure, which is kind of expected from a Marvel movie, but it was a little darker than the previous Marvel movies we've seen. Now, I know Endgame and Infinity War were a little on the darker side, but nowhere compared to this, I wouldn't say. This was almost, this movie had definitely some, or this movie had some horror elements in it for sure. Some of them, and a couple jump scares, so sometimes I was kind of like on the edge of my seat, or like getting all prepped for the jump scare, right? And that doesn't help. That only makes it worse because then you're not relaxed, you're all tensed up, and you just end up jumping even more. So it's kind of funny that we do that to ourselves sometimes. But I do love scary movies for the jump scares and stuff like that. So I'm a huge slasher film fan. So it kind of makes sense that I would be going to see a movie like this. And there were some interesting trailers actually before the movie. There was one just called Men, and I'm not really sure whether it's going to be like a paranormal thing or whether somebody's after this woman and try to murder her. But yeah, it looked really interesting. I just wanted to bring that up to see. And obviously the movie Nope with directed by Jordan Peele. That movie looks insane. I think it's probably about aliens. I should probably really actually start a little series talking about the upcoming movies, maybe. But it's kind of hard to do because I have so much reviews that I want to do, and I don't want to burn myself out too much. So we'll just see how this goes, and then maybe we'll think about doing that series eventually. Eventually, maybe in the fall, that series will come. So now I've talked about that. So be prepared for that in the fall because I probably will have the time to do it by then. And I know there's a lot of good movies coming out in the fall and around winter time that I really would love to talk about. So it'll probably be a long episode, maybe like a podcast formation. I'm not really sure how long my iPad will let me record for. I might have to do it in parts, but we'll see. We'll see. So as we know, Jared Leto has, I guess, kind of done the same thing that Tom Hardy did, where he transitioned from DC to Marvel, and yeah, the exact same thing actually. Because yeah, it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny to see that all these guys go from Jared Leto playing the Joker and Tom Hardy playing Bane to now playing Venom and this Morbius character. Now, I was really pumped for this movie because I do remember Morbius, I believe from cartoons a long time ago. I can't really ever say I've read a comic with him in it, so I don't really know too much about the character, but I think I do remember him being in some cartoon shows when I was younger. Or maybe I'm thinking of something else, but I'm pretty sure it was him. So that's why I was kind of pumped for this movie. Plus, it was just a fresh look on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which I enjoy because they need to go in a different direction, especially in this Phase 4 now, where not all the heroes are technically good guys, which I kind of like. I kind of like that style of movie where they're kind of conflicted rather than just there's good and bad. Like, I like the whole, they have good qualities, but you don't really know whether they could be swayed to go the wrong way or the right way. It all depends on, I guess, their mental fortitude. So this movie was really a friends turned into enemy movie for sure. So we have Jared Leto playing Dr. Michael Morbius. We have Matt Smith, who is from Doctor Who. I knew I recognized him from somewhere. Now, I haven't seen that many episodes of Doctor Who, but there's like, what, over 60 years of content probably now to go through. We have Adria Arjona playing Martine Bancroft. Jared Harris playing Dr. Emil Nicholas. And I recognized the voice right away, and I was like, is that Tyrese Gibson in this movie? Because that was just a kind of a shock to me that he would take a role like this, but I guess he's played a cop before in other movies, so it kind of makes sense. So he played Agent Simon Stroud, and then we had Al Madagraw playing Agent Rodriguez, and Michael Keaton made a really wicked appearance at the very end of this movie, Adrian Toomes. I'm trying to remember his villain name. When was he in the Spider-Man movie? It's got to say. Oh yes, the Vulture. That was right. When he was in the suit, he was known as Vulture. Okay. So yeah, we're really getting into the multiverse stuff, especially at the end of this movie. So now his real name was Lucian when he showed up at the care center when they were kids, him and Michael, but he called him Milo, so I guess there had been a couple other kids that were there, with at least 3 from the story that Michael told. So he doesn't even really remember what the original Milo looked like. He just kind of keeps naming each kid as they come in Milo, like the new Milo or whatever. I guess that's maybe like a comfort thing for him. And one of the things I noticed in the movie was that he had an obsession with origami, right from a very young age. So unfortunately that kind of leaves a little bit of a trail of breadcrumbs wherever he goes, because he ends up making something in every location he's in. I guess whatever's on his mind at the moment is what he makes. So that was kind of cool. But when he gets older, he's obviously, so he's a biochemist. So he's working on, I guess, blood transfusions. Yeah, so I guess he's working on blood transfusions, and he has a rare blood disorder himself, and that makes it, I guess, difficult for him to walk because he had like the crutches style with like the armband thing. I don't really know what they're called. But yeah, and then I guess friend, his friend Milo had the same sort of condition, or Lucian, whichever name we're going to go by. I guess we'll just call him Milo for the sake of this, because it's probably easier, just because that's mostly what he referred to him as, I think, in the movie anyway, because that's what he called him. So yeah, once he is able to get the animal trials working, he decides to test his I guess, cure on himself. So he's mixing bat DNA with human DNA, which is obviously very, very illegal. And Milo is very rich, I guess. Somehow he grew up and made a lot of money off of something, I'm not really sure what. But when he tests it on himself, it ends up giving him these abilities, like the bats. So I'm not really sure exactly all of his abilities. We're kind of shown them throughout the movie. So we know that he has echolocation, which is cool, so he can hear everything that's around him. He can still obviously see like a normal human being. He just has these extra abilities now. He has super strength, not really sure how strong exactly. What else did he have? He could not technically fly, but I guess like he could move within the air. I don't really know how to describe that ability. It was kind of weird because it was like he could, it was almost like he could jump in and out of space, kind of like the movie Jumper. That's what it kind of reminded me of. But he could move like super quickly so that nobody could actually end up catching him. And as the movie goes along, obviously these cops are thinking that he is doing all these killings, when it turns out that it's actually his friend Milo. And then Milo didn't want to listen to him when he said that he shouldn't take the cure, right? Because then it would turn him into what he already was. And I guess he wanted to try and obviously perfect it, because when he isn't having the artificial blood that he's created, eventually it starts out at 6 hours that he has before his disease comes back, and then it goes down to 5 hours and 45 minutes, and then at one point it's at 4 hours, and then it just keeps getting the time that he has between each, I guess, like feeding technically, is less and less. So eventually he'll just end up dying anyway, even though he has these powers. So he has to find a way to make it a permanent thing, I suppose, is what his end goal is. So yeah, then Milo starts doing all these killings, and obviously going after his love interest in the movie, which is Martine, who was with him the entire time he was on the ship. And she doesn't seem to have any real fear of him, I guess. And there's an interesting scene where she dies and then he bites her, because the red blood just brings out all his animalistic instincts. And I guess he can't really control himself as much in that form, which kind of reminds me a little bit of like Goku in like Super Saiyan 4 mode, where he's just like can't really control himself. He just kind of goes bananas and just does whatever. Although he was able to kind of control it, I guess, near the end of the movie, and actually use his echolocation ability to bring all the bats in, and then he ends up killing Milo. And I did see an interesting scene where Martine wakes back up after she's been bitten, so I'm assuming she's got some of the abilities now too. So I'm kind of interested to see where that goes. And then the multiverse opens up, and Vulture comes in, or Adrian Toomes, and he tells Morbius in one of the post-credit scenes that he believes that Spider-Man sent him there and that he should team up. So Morbius says, interesting, and I think that was where the movie ended. I don't think there was anything else after that. So yeah, kind of interested to see where the second Morbius movie goes, or whether this is going to just transition into the Doctor Strange movie. I guess we'll have to see, actually, where that does end up going. Because I am interested to see kind of where all these universes are going to end up meeting together. So, yeah. Especially now that Venom is in the same universe as Spider-Man, and it seems that all these villains are being transported over into this other universe with Morbius. So, yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how Doctor Strange is going to open all the universes and bring them all together. So we'll see. This movie, now I wouldn't say it's my... I think my favorite Marvel movies are probably Guardians of the Galaxy, but I did like the fact, again, that this was a fresh take on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I don't know why it got such a low score, because I thought the movie was really good. The action sequences were great. Not knowing all of his abilities, and still not even knowing all of his abilities yet, or whether he can actually make himself stronger, is really interesting. And the CGI in this movie, now I'm not really sure whether he had to sit in a makeup chair for a long time to get the bat look down, but it looked cool in the trailers, and it was really well done in the movie, I thought. Now I know some people may think it's kind of a goofy look, but I guess maybe watching the movie would make more sense to those people after understanding why he looks like that. So yeah, I guess in this case, the moral of the story is you should listen to your friends, because obviously Milo went right straight bad, and Michael Morbius was kind of in between. He could have been swayed either way, I think. And now that Vulture or Adrian Toomes is in the picture, I think he's going to be swayed more to the villain side of things. I'm not really sure. I guess we'll see. But that's kind of what it's looking like. So interesting, to say the least. Even that's kind of how he ended the movie too. But yeah, so I did give this movie an 8 out of 10. I thought it deserved that. I thought it was the better of the two movies that I went to see last night, and then tonight I went to see Sonic 2, and then I looked on IMDb, and it seems to me that Sonic 3 is already ready to go. So I think they probably had that planned before this movie was even in theaters, because I'm not really sure when the original release date was supposed to be. But I'm pretty sure even this movie has been delayed a couple of times at least. So, glad to see that it's finally out. Go enjoy it. Yeah, a lot of these movies that we've been waiting for so long are finally coming out. And I am interested to go see the Northman next week. And again, I should have said this at the beginning of this video, but this review won't be coming out until May as well. So, recording this in April, but it won't be coming out until May, because I don't have enough data left to upload it right now, and I already have a bunch of content right up until May 9th anyway, so yeah, that's that. I think I've pretty much said everything I can for this movie, and the action scenes kind of reminded me a little bit of like the Venom action scenes too. I guess I could say that as well. But other than that, that is it for this review, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye for now.